Okay. Hi, guys. So, welcome to another session of Introduction to Game Development using Godot. So, we already have like two sessions already of this same topic of this same course, and today will just be our last day doing this same our last day of this session. So, we you open up our Godot. This is our Godot engine from our last project. Yeah, let me we open us our last project so we can do like a summary of what we did the last time, and then we can continue from where we stopped last time. So, okay, this is all we did last time. We made a kinematic player, we coded it to move left and right. We added jump to so it can jump, it move left, move right, and it can also jump. It move left and right, and it can also jump. So that is all. And we also talk about labels, control nodes, and yeah, assign buttons to to okay. So yeah, let me start from the beginning. So we talked about working on the kinematic body, moving them around, jumping, moving them around, jumping, and also how to assign button automatically, how labels work, and all those kind of things. We did a lot of things like that. And here is the code of all like here's the code for our kinematic body if you forgot our exports to export variable outside our ready, as I explained yesterday, ready is only called once, process is called continuously per frame in the engine. And we also like I explain how to add graffiti, how to add movement left and right, and how to jump and everything, and how to use move and slide. Today we're supposed to work on animation, and I should provide you like a link for the asset I'm going to use today, because I'm going to use asset to showcase you how to import assets and how to do an animation for your player. But before that, I had some thinking. I was like, maybe before that, we can talk about how to make an enemy, just a normal enemy like the mushroom guy in Mario that move left and right, and follow off and just keep moving. If it's moving left, keep moving left, 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 left. Moving right is keep moving left. Left. We are going to make something like that. And then if we are done with that, we will make an animation for our player. Then if that's also done, then we can try making so that the player take damage from the enemy. Then if we have the time, I'll try to force it into the time so we can have enough time to explain all these important parts. So if you want to make a game for the game jam, you can at least try making a platformer game for the game jam, and you will be able to make something. So without any problem, let's start. Without any disturbance, let's start. So I will try to I don't know how I can make this link available. Just copy it again. I'm coming. Copy. Copy link. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me put. Let me send it so it can be posted. So yeah, this is the place you are going to work on currently. Sim. We have our level. So we are going to add our enemy here. Let's just draw an enemy. So let us draw our enemy. We are going to place our enemy on this top of here. So this is what they call a time up, but we are not going to explain how this works because this is a little bit advanced, like advanced level. So we are not going to talk about this for now. We're just going to talk about how to use enemy, how to place them and stuff. So we are going to place our enemy up here, and we just want an enemy that just move for hit the wall, then move back, hit here, move back, hit here, move back, hit here, move back, hit here, move back, something like that. So first we first create an enemy that just move, hit the wall, and just stand still. So from our previous knowledge, we should have some from our previous session. We should have some ideas how to do that. It's actually easy. We just add a kinematic body, or read body, but I just want to use the kinematic body because we will have to code it. We'll call it enemy. Had a kinematic body called enemy. Let's give it a sprite. So this is how you add a sprite to let us give it a sprite. You give it a sprite. As you remember, I said sprite is what showcase on screen to tell the player that yeah, the enemy. I'm going to pick an enemy out of all this enemy. Let us pick one. Each of these enemy now there is something called in a sprite. There is something called a sprite sheet. Like a sprite sheet is like different sprite. Instead of a single sprite like this, instead of a single image like this, it contains multiple images, like a lot of images. And the point here is to divide the sprite sheet into separate, like one separate part, so you can put it inside the sprite. So to do that in Godot, you can use this property. I talked about them last time, but I skipped them. I skipped them last time. This animation property, and then how many frame does this thing has? We can go to horizontal frame. Horizontal frame is going from the left to the right. Count it: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 sprites. So we can, if we put 9 here, as you can see now, we only have one. You only have one. It is not that visible. Let me change it to pixel art. Because pixel art, yeah. We only have one, something like this. So now our enemy is having a sprite. So now we are going to I think we are going to give it a collision. As I said before, without a collision, it can't interact with the surrounding. We want our enemy to interact with the surrounding. We want it to land on the wall, on the floor, and walk around. We want something like that. So we are going to give it a collision. So then after giving it a relation, we drag this here, drag this here. If we run this code, nothing's going to happen because nothing is in the line of code. Nothing is working, nothing's in the line of code. So to do this, as you think, then we go to the scripts. You remember last time we are going to first thing first add gravity. we need our vector var vector 2 that we use to save var motion or velocity. Let's call it velocity that we use to save our velocity equals to vector 2 is a vector 2 variable. We're going to save that vector 2 0 comma 0 because we want our velocity to start at 0. Then create we a physics process. We add a physics process. We want our gravity to be running in a physics process, as I said before. So we use velocity plus equals to 9.8 velocity dot y because it's only our we want to affect our y axis only. Then motion the velocity equals to motion move and slide velocity. So this way we have added gravity to our player. I've added gravity to our enemy. So our enemy now has a gravity. It lands on the floor, and yeah, as you can see, clap for ourselves. It has gravity. Next thing we are going to do is add a motion like force to move it to the left side, to keep moving it to the left side until it drop, and we want it to be doing it automatically. To do that, you just have to do something like velocity equals to velocity dot x equals to 30. Something like this should, I think, is minus equals minus 30 because we're going to the left. You don't want to go to the right. As I said, this is a graph, so we have to go to the left. So now you see our enemy is moving to the left. As you can see, yeah. Now we have a basic enemy, but it's just a little bit dumb that when he hit the wall, he did not turn around and keep moving to the other side. So yeah, to do that now, we need like we need a way for our enemy to dictate the surroundings. Like if it's close to hitting a wall, we need something to tell the enemy that there is a wall there. Okay, now we can change direction. So to do something like that, it's actually easy. We are going to use a new node that I've not explained to us before called Raycasts. Raycasts. Raycasts are used like a ray of light that is used to check whether something is at the front or not. It's like in real life, all these security detection systems that we see in movies that we have lights. Like if someone passed through the light, the door will just close. Like it will take out the security and stuff. It's something that is how this raycast work too. They cast a ray of light, like a ray of collision. And anything touch that collision, they will tell the enemy that something is touching this collision. So the enemy can move away. It will tell the enemy that something is detecting that collision, and then we can do our mass and move the enemy away from that thing that is touching. So to do that, we just add the keycast. Let us call it left ray, left ray, and then we are this is our left ray. Currently, is disabled, so we enable it, and we don't want it to be going down. We want it to be going to the left to point out the left. So we are going to do a 0. Our x will now be minus 30. 50 is too much. So 30, something like this. Something like this. So if it's colliding, we can now use a function. We can do dollar get node. There is a function called get node to get all these guys here. Name is left ray, okay. Dot is colliding. We use a if statement to check if that ray is colliding. If it is colliding, we are going to do something here. Let's change this 30 to speed var export var speed equals to 30 40 speed. And we are going to add a new variable called direction. So currently our direction is left. We want to start from the left. So that is our direction is -1. So we multiply our speed with our direction to, to get the opposite direction. So if our raycast is colliding, we will change that. We will just say our direction equals to 1. So now if our left raycast collide, we want it to go back to the right. So if we check it out, you will see something like that. It will go still slow, very, very slow. Then it will hit the wall, then it will come back. We don't have a right recast, so we can also add like a right one. You can also add one to the right. You have to set it up. We will enable it, change this to 30, so it's by the left, by the right, and then use another if statement to check. Just copy and paste. Not a lot of game development is copy and paste. You have to understand copy and paste logic. It's a course on its own. So if our right is colliding, then we want to go left. So that is all you need to code like an enemy movement, one that knows surroundings. As you can see, it's looking nice. As you can see, let's change this one speed to 70. 70. Let's change to 70, and then as you can see, everything is looking good. We are making progress. Now we want our player, our enemy, like to face the direction that is going. Currently, it just look like it's static. We want it to face the direction that is going. Sprite as property that's called flip, like this flip guy. This flip, we talked about them once. It is used to flip. So we can set this to true. We can set it to false when it's going left. If it's going right, we can set it to true. So it looks like, yeah, it's facing that direction. That's what flip does. Like we use it to showcase where they are facing. So um, to do that, it's actually easy. You just call your sprite, get node sprites, call your sprites, the name is already there, sprites, and then dot or that name, the name is flip. You just flip h, yeah, you get it. And then for our left, we are going to write it will be true here. For our right, we are going to left, it will be false there. As we showed in our demonstration, our little demonstration. Now should be having an enemy that when once it is to move back, to go back, to move back, and go back. And now we want to move forward. We want to move more forward, and we want to add an animation to this. So it will be working. To do that, it's actually easy. In this animation, we have a run animation and we have a walk animation. We want to use the walk animation. It is a sprite sheet. We have a one sprite, a one texture, and we have a walk texture. So it's a sprite sheet. As I explained before, we are going to drag it in. First, we're going to drag it in. Let's remove our H frame so we can see how many frames is there. There's a lot, so we have to count and change. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 16. So we change our frame to 16. Yeah, 16. Let's make this, it's not that clear. I'll let you into pixel art. So it's clear. So now we are going to add an animation player. Animation player, I've not explained them. Animation player is used to create animations. Like it's used to create animation. If you are like used to, if you have used animations in other application before, they use keys and stuff. There is also the same thing as this animation player. So we added the animation player. The animation player has an like this how an animation player look like to show here. It has animation. It has all this guy. It has some up properties here that we don't need to. So we want to create an ideal I run animation. So you click on this animation. You click on new. You want to create a new animation. You give it a name. We give it one. Yeah, and then it will create an animation. It has created animation run, and it's asking you to fill it up. So let's make this bigger so I can see what we are doing. So we go to our this is what we want to animate. We want to animate this frame because this frame is how it shows that our players can see the player is moving, the character is moving with that frame as the frame is changing. So we want to animate that frame and keep it somewhere so we can now play that animation. So that is how you do it. You animate the frame. One, you create, then you just keep doing it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me change this 1.7. So I change the length of the animation so it will be longer and then we can key more animations in it. So 1.6. 1.6. What am I doing? 1.6, 1.6. Yeah. So we click on this as because if you check the animation currently, if you play it, this is how you play it. You press play, it stops. We don't want it to stop. We want it to be continuous. So we loop it using this button. We click this to loop. Then as you play now, should have an animation. Yes, can see a happy frog. A happy is it a frog? This is a pig. Yeah, an happy pig. You can increase the speed of your animation by going back to the animation player and going back to the playback. You can see the speed here. You can increase it. Let us say 1.5, 1.5. Yeah, and it look faster. So now you can also set an animation so that it can be run automatically on load by clicking on this button, by toggling this button. Once you toggle it like this, if you play your game, your character should be running around happily. As you can see, we have one character running around happily. Now you see it's actually very, very easy. Making game is actually very, very easy. Just have to learn, just have to you just have to do some small things and everything is ready. As this is looking lively now, it's made already a fun game. Like you have made the and you have coded like now we have made that small guy in Mario and that Turtle too. Although we can't jump on them. So yeah. Making enemies actually more easier. Like making enemies easier. You can have more enemies. You can have more enemy copy and paste, just copy and paste, and yeah, you have more enemies walking around. And then you can have a player that walking around, don't you know those enemy, and the game is ready. You have a background, you have anything, and you have everything, and the game is ready. That's how easy making game is. It's not hard. So yeah, you can do someone like this. This one working. Have fun. This actually fun. I will try to create a new type of enemy, one that does not fall off the edge, like one that does not fall off the edge by itself, one that we check. You should have an idea for that. That will check whether it's at the edge, if it's at the edge, then move to the next other position. Almost same form, it's almost same code as this. It's very, very, you should be having an idea. An idea should be clicking on your head, like, yeah, you should be clicking. So that is all about this. So let's move that player because we want to add something. Should we make a player now? We want to add something. to our player, we want to create an animation, although that might take some time. Let me see. Should I just use my other player? I don't want to waste much time. Just want to showcase. Okay. I already have the animation for our player down already. I already have an animation for our player. Okay. So I'm just going to have created the animation for the player. So I'm not going to like showcase how I did it. I'm just going to code it and we can continue. So we have our player, it has an it animation, it has a jump, an ideal animation. As you can see, it has an ideal animation that's currently that is not playing, that is currently working. It has a jump animation, it has a run animation. Everything is currently like everything is currently added. So our next plan is to code this player. We are just going to copy and paste our old formula, our old code inside it. We let me just mhm, mhm. Oh yeah. Let me see. Great. Okay. So let us add the collision shape player. As you click on this create a collision shape for our player. Just show that I do for now, so I can get the exact shape. And sometimes in games we don't cover everything with collision. Like the leg, we leave the leg a little. Decide to leave like decide a little because of user error. We don't want our user to be frustrated, even if like we want them to have like some grace. Some attack should hit them, but we just say that well, it is not that close. Some things should have killed them, but we give them that grace. So that is why our collision is not always fully surrounding the player sprite. It is always smaller than the player sprite. So to just give the player an edge, the game is to satisfy the player. We don't want to frustrate them. Okay. So we have our animation, we have our player, we just copy and paste our code, our old code. This our old code, Control A, Control C, Control E, Control A, Control V. Our player should be ready. Let's paste in here. Oh yeah, let me move this because this player does not have a label. We don't want that. So our player is added. As you can see, everybody is moving. We can move our player left. Oh, I've not assigned the button. We have to assign this left and right here to left, right, and jump here too, as we did last time. So input left, left, left button, in, right, right button, D, and jump, up button, W. So we have everything set up now. There shouldn't be a problem at all now. So now we have our player. As we said before, we want our player to be looking in direction that we are currently facing. So we can do that easily the way we did it last time. Dollars, we get the sprite, get no sprites. So if the player is placing left, we want our flip page to be false, right? Is it false? Yes. And just check it out here. If our player is facing the right, our flip page is true. If our player is facing left, we want our flip page to be true. If our player is placing right, we want our flip page to be false. Yeah. Okay. So we can go back and say this one is true. This one is false. Now we have one, yeah, you can see moving left, moving right, jumping, and yeah. Now we also want to add that if our player is want to add all the animations, want to play the animation. Animation can be played easily. Animation can be played calling the animation name and then calling play and the animation name. Like the call you use gets node animation player. The name of animation play the name is animation player. Then you click on dots like play. And to ask you which animation do you want to play, we have double jump, we have it, we have ID, we have jump, and we have run. In our left, we want to play run. In our right, we want to play run. And in our when no button is pressed, we want to play ID. So we play run here. Copy this and paste this. We also play run here. Let's change this to L. If we also play run here, and then if no button is pressed, that is why our else is. If no button is pressed, we want to play ideal. So if we check it out now, if we check this code out now, it could be, as you can see, we have a good thing going on here. We had a very, very good thing going on here. Jumping, it's falling. But our jump is continuous. Like we can jump in air, we can keep jumping, we can keep jumping because our jump function is actually not checking if our player is on floor. We have to check if our player is on floor. Our kinematic body has a function to check whether the player is currently on the floor, to check whether our player is on floor. So currently we have like something like a Mario game going on, as you can see. Congratulations. If you started from day one, you should be able to make something like this. Something like a Mario game going on with characters walking, bouncing each other, and yeah. So now we want to limit our jump to just one jump. To do that, first thing first, we have to make sure our move and slide understand where the floor is. Like where the floor is. So to do that, just add a new argument to this vector 2 dot up. And then in this our jump function, we place this around an if statement. If is on floor. We have it's on ceiling, it's on wall, it's on ceiling, it's on floor. There are different type of if you want it, if you want to check if the player is on wall, like as we jumped before and we hit the wall, we can check it. If it is the ceiling, we can check whether the player is touching the ceiling. If it is the floor, we can check. So floor Now, if we jump now, our player should only jump when it is on floor. Only jump when, as you can see, I'm pressing jump, but it can only jump once. Only one jump. Only one jump. So now we want to make it so that if the player take damage, like if the player take damage, we want our player to play. If player touch all these guys, like all these guys, we want it to play a hunt animation. And then should I do that? Because that will enter an area. Let's do that. Let's do that. So we okay, okay. Now we want to add ability for the enemy to damage the player. But before that, we want to make it so that the player and the enemy are not like something like this, that they are like something like this where they are touching each other. Like we want it to be like our player cannot really touch the enemy. Like they can touch the ground, but they are on different planes. So to do that, it's actually it's actually easy. It's something called layers. You have it in Adobe, like you have layers, that you have stuff under layer. If you are used to, if you use Adobe, you know stuff called layers. So we are going to add layers. We are going to give this tile map, like this our wall and floor, the first in this collision, there is something called layers. We are going to give it the first layer. So everybody should be able to everybody should be able to interact with it. So we are going to add like everything here should be able to interact with it. Everything here should be able to interact with it. It's the first layer, everything here should be able to interact with it. Our enemies, let me just click all of them and then we can do our collision. Our enemies, we want them to be in the second layer, but they can only interact with the environment, which is in the first layer, and themselves, second layer. And our player, we are going to give him the third layer, and it can only interact with the wall, with the environment. It cannot interact with the enemy, but it can interact with itself. So if we check this out now, we have a and then we have something that layer can just fall in and stuff like this. Although our enemies are going to have some problem that we are going to add to. So what is causing this problem is because the raycasts that the enemies have, all these raycasts that the enemies have, has their own layer system too. We have to change them to We want this raycast to collide with the wall and the enemies too. Like to also sense the enemy too, but we don't want it to sense the player. So even when the player is there, they should still take the player as if the player is not there at all. So now we should have something like this where, yeah, as you can see, and our player can move around in between them. No, that might be a little bit advanced. I don't feel comfortable talking. So yeah, that is how you do, like, you separate all stuff into layers, and how we are now going to work on our player, our like how our player take damage. So now we are going to add an area to our enemy. Area is it's like how can I explain it? Like an explosion, like explosion range. It's like the area of the explosion, like the range at least an explosion would damage the people. Like if you are outside of it, you're outside the area. If you're inside if you're inside the explosion range, then you're inside the explosion area. So area is like an invisible collision shape that is used to check whether something is affecting something or not. We are going to create an area for all this enemy. I should just create one and just copy and paste. Let me just delete all this enemy and just create one and copy and paste. I don't want to create one for each one by one. So we have one enemy now. So we add an area node. It's used for detection of faces and audio. You can use it for audio influence, but we are just going to use for detection of faces to detect our player here. So our area, let us call it player detector. An area must have a collision, like a collision and a collision to check whether the player is there or not. So we are going to add a collision shape. Let us not make it too big. Yeah, something like this. So another thing we want to do for our area is in this collision, it will be layer 2 and it's only collide with the player. We just want to check whether the player is affecting if the player is affecting if the player is in the area. We don't want to check any other thing. We don't concern us with the wall or anything. We just want to focus on the player. So this is what it's going to check whether the player is affecting, like the player is in the range of the enemy. And these guys have signals, signals, like they send something like a broadcast. Let's say a broadcast, like in a newspaper when there's an event, they broadcast the news about that event and stuff. That's how they do it. When there's an event, like the touch the player get into the area, it will broadcast an event that, oh, there is an intruder, and then we can now use that event for something later. So for something like this, we use body enter because our player is a body, it's not an area, it's a body. Body enter. Yeah, that is this why I always separate them into two. So you add this to our enemy. Make sure that it is your enemy that you click on because it's the enemy that we want to take that broadcast. We don't want anybody to take it. We add it to our enemy. So now it tell you the player enter. If player enter, we want to like do something. We can print out like player enter and print out player enter. And as you can see, in player enter, and yeah, let's go. Let's see. Mhm. Mm. So player enter, if we run the code, let's not do that. If we run the code now, it's colliding with the environment. Why is it colliding with the environment? It's colliding with the environment. Is it because I said this? Yeah, okay, let's just use another function. Sometimes this thing messed up a little. So another thing we can do to check if the player, like if it is the player that's entering the environment, is to check this body. We can check the name. If body dot name equals to if the name of that body that enters is player, should print out player enter. So if we do this and then we run, as you can see, no player enter, and then we run and player enters, to tell the player enters, if the player enters, as you can see. Now what we want to do next is to tell the player. You should call a function in the player. We can have a function in our player called take damage. We can have a function in our player called take damage, which we can call in that this function. We can do something like this: body or take damage. This way, it will once it collides the player, this body will be the player, so it will call that function in the player take damage. This function we now like we can play our own animation. If I point out I'm taking damage, I am taking damage. Now we can add something like this. Shit, I'm almost done. So let me just do the animation. Let me just do this thing because I'm going to do a recap and then we are finished. Yeah, I'm taking. You see, the player is talking about that. I'm taking damage. I'm taking damage. I'm taking damage. So now we just want to play the alt animation and just finish the game. So first thing first, we don't want all this guy. We don't want to move. We don't want to move or fall once our player is taking damage. So we don't want to move around or jump once our player is taking damage. We just want to play the the damage animation and that's all. So we have to add a boolean call onT equals to equals false to always be true when our player is odd false. So an if statement if a player is onT, if a player is onT, we don't want to play we don't want to do any of these functions. Yeah. So now if a player is onT, none of these if not on, yeah. If a player is not on, these guys are going to work. If a player is on, then none of these guys are going to work until a player is not affected, it's not on anymore. So to do that, take damage, you play it. And another thing animation player can do, another thing animation player can do is it can be used to call a function. It can be used to call a function. Once you save the script, you can go to animation player, go to it, go to the last one, add track, add call function, click on our player, and then add you can add stop on, and yeah, we have something like this. As you can see, we have something like this. You see that it's taking damage. So let's populate this and just sad, but we are close to the end. Everything has an end. Try so just have to fun. Oh, it has been fun. Like I love this class. It has been fun. Uh okay, so now we've made like a simple game that's beautiful. Very beautiful. You can jump and have and take damage and that's all. Any question before I start my before I start a recap and then you can backup. Mm-hmm. So I don't think anyone has a question. So that is all about making games. It's actually very, very easy. Just have to think. Everything is, you are limited by your mind. Just have to think and then you'll be able to get it. Just have to think and you'll be able to get it. Just think and yeah, just have to think and that's all. Once you think about it and you think about a way to solve it and you're able to like get what you think to work in reality, you are a big game developer. Mm. So mm, now that so to round this up, we are going to have like a recap of what we did today. We started with how to make an enemy. We just use our old code. We started with velocity, how we added graffiti, we added a movement in one direction. Then once we solved it in that direction, we added raycasts, all these little guys, to notify the enemy when it's about to hit an edge. Then we talk about how to use properties, how to just use properties to make it look like the player is turning around, turning around. We did it for the second left and right. Then we just added all those calculations to our move and slide to get everything done. Then we talked about layers, how they work, how collision layers work, how they work. Then we talked about players, our players, how the script our player work, and we added animations to it to showcase our players move around and stuff. Then we talk about taking damage, like how our player take damage. We added areas to our enemies. So to make our enemy take damage from this, to make our enemy notice the player and then call the player take damage so the player can take damage directly. So it's as if all this method of working is as if once you shoot a bullet at someone, once the bullet hit that person, it will tell tell that person to call a function you are going to take damage. So now the person will now scream. It's as if like the way our pain work, like take damage, tell your brain now you should be screaming because now you are in pain. So you scream and stuff like that. It's almost like a real life. People just apply real life to the game. So that's all about it. That is all. With that small knowledge, you should be able to make a performer game, and even a side scroller game. You should be able to make a side scroller game, a side scroller performer game. They are also the same logic. So try out. I will love to see your game doing the game jam and yeah.